Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our webinar today. I am so excited to have everyone join us and have an amazing group of panelists that are here to share their experiences and help everyone that is tuned in today with your wedding planning, and be it you're on the bride side or on the vendor side. We are hopeful to share as much information as we can about COVID and what's going on. And I personally am grateful to be in a position to contribute to our community. And I know this is a difficult time for a lot of us. And, our industry, the wedding industry specifically, has been impacted severely by the pandemic. And, but there are positives that come out of every experience. And also, the show always goes on. And so whether you're postponing the wedding till the fall or next year, the wedding is still going to happen, and our industry is excited to get back. And we have assembled an incredible group of people today that will help you. And so without further ado, I'm going to introduce myself. So I'm Tatiana Byron. I'm CEO, founder of Wedding Salon, and I welcome you all today. We will start out by having our panelists introduce themselves and tell us a little bit about their experience and how they're handling COVID, and also any changes that they're making to so the couples feel safe. And then we're going to go through all your questions. We've received so many questions, so we're going to tackle them all, as many of them as we can today, and we will end on time at 2 p.m. And we have some amazing raffles that we're going to be, that our panelists are offering. And so there's going to be a slide at the end that will show you what they are. And we'll also be announcing the winners via email and on our social media. So without further ado, I would like to introduce our first panelist.
Hello, thank you so much for being here today. I'm Citlali Gonzalez. I lead the events department at Viceroy Los Cabos. I help people create amazing events at our resort. Well, Viceroy Los Cabos is part of the Viceroy Icon Collection. As you might know, their provocative design, intuitive service, and imaginative art encounters. Each Viceroy hotel is a reflection of the cultural and the unique, authentic experience with destinations around the world. We inspire travelers to create their own singular journey and remember to live. I know that we've been with challenging times right now, so Viceroy Los Cabos is ready to reopen next July 23rd with a cleanliness of promise of cleanliness. We are doing all in our hands to keep the safety of our guests, and well, if you do the wedding with us, the wedding invites. Well, a few of the steps, I don't know if you guys want me to start with a little bit of what the Viceroy Los Cabos is doing right now. Just overall, we'll be using UVC light technology to disinfect all guest rooms after each stay. Also, we will wait for 3 days after our room is empty so they can occupy it again. We will have hand sanitizer stations placed through all the resorts, including in every floor. All the Viceroy colleagues, including myself, will be wearing face masks. And physical changes through the building have been made to adhere social distancing guidelines and decrease person-to-person contact.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'm Eric Kent. I'm the co-publisher of njwedding.com, and we serve the couples and wedding community in New Jersey and the tri-state area, including New York and Pennsylvania, since 1997. So for the past 23 years, we've seen a lot in the trends and different aspects of wedding planning. With COVID and what's happening now, it's obviously a big change. And it's a big change when it comes to couples that are planning for such a big event in their lives, a milestone. So our website is a resource, and it's always been a resource, and we've always wanted it to be helpful for couples that are planning. Now we've added categories such as virtual marriage, online weddings, And we're trying to keep our fingers on the pulse of what's going on locally in New Jersey, in New York, Pennsylvania, how couples can get married. And what we found is that couples are still interested, they're still getting married. They're interested in planning for either getting married sooner and then postponing their wedding till next year, wanting to hold on to their date that they planned for this year. We have categories for elopements and micro weddings, outdoor and garden weddings. So as things continue to evolve and the governor and governors of various states are putting executive orders out there, which we have to all follow, we want to make sure that we're a clearinghouse for that information. So thank you for being here and hope you find it helpful.
Hi, Jana Puga and Deborah Arana here with the Belize Tourism Board. We're the travel trade team. Well, we're happy to report that Belize's International Airport is reopening on August 15th. A couple of things to keep in mind. You must book your accommodations with the Tourism Gold Standard Hotel that is also approved by the Tourism Board to serve international guests as well. Face masks are mandatory while in Belize, as is social distancing. And we have everything listed on our website at travelbelize.org. You'll be able to find all of the health and safety protocols as well as all the traveling reopening plans that we have.
Hi, I'm Dr. Janet Stess Allen. I'm an orthodontist in Manhattan. Park Avenue Orthodontics is the name of my company, my business. Everything has changed for us pretty drastically throughout the COVID period, and we were closed for a couple of months. We reopened in mid-June, but we've taken lots and lots of new, we've made a lot of changes in the practice where we have different air purifiers, major heavy duty air purifiers running throughout the office. We have, of course, everyone's masked and we give them masks and gloves in the office. You know, we're taking every precaution just to make sure my staff stays healthy, I stay healthy, our patients all stay healthy. We social distance so that patients never pass one another in the office. And so we're seeing different numbers of patients per day. We're spreading them out so that we don't have a problem with any kind of cross-contamination at all. You know, if there's a silver lining, I think one of the things that's been good for this time period, we treat a lot of patients with Invisalign, we do bleaching of teeth, etc. And it's been a good time for that because people haven't been out in public, and the feedback that I'm getting is that, you know, they're really comfortable. And for people who are getting married and have had to postpone their wedding plans, it's just giving them a little bit extra time to, you know, beautify their smiles and be ready for the wedding when it does finally happen. So we've made changes, and it's all working out very well so far since we opened mid-June.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Cole, and I'm a wedding gown designer and the owner of Jen Cole Designs here in New York. And I specialize in custom gowns. I have a collection, but I basically specialize in custom gowns. So during the pandemic, I've been keeping pretty busy because brides are still doing the Zoom weddings. So I've seen a lot of the Zoom weddings during this time. And also, since New York has started to open up, I've added a service of like brides who have actually bought their dresses from other places, and those places are shut down right now. And then I've been doing like house calls where I actually go out and do the fittings so that they can still do their wedding. So I think the biggest problem now is those brides who had to cancel and they already purchased a dress. So they're looking for people to actually, you know, do the alterations. Also with the custom gowns, I'm getting a lot of online business. So all of my my collection is actually online on my website. but I'm getting a lot of feedback from Facebook and, you know, social media of brides wanting custom gowns because they're not sure how long it's going to be before they'll actually be able to go in a wedding salon or whatever. So I think they're feeling safe with doing the custom process. The custom process, I actually can walk you right through on Zoom of how to take your measurements and get the proper measurements to actually have your gown made. So I've been keeping pretty busy, and those brides that are scheduling for next year. So they're still ordering, they're still excited. I've had a couple of brides that still did their weddings like they would just do a traditional, well, maybe go to like Central Park or other places and just do just them and the minister, and they get married, but they're still using their gown, waiting to, you know, have a regular wedding to actually wear their gown.
My name is Mareike. I'm in the Dominican Republic working for the only Relais and Chateau Hotel here in the country. And I'm honestly very emotional today because I just had my first wedding yesterday at property. So we were able to host a very intimate wedding. It was very complicated though, because it was a couple that organized initially everything in the Bahamas because they wanted to be the first ones to get married quickly after everything clears up. But the Bahamas didn't open. So we were the destination to open first. She's a bride from New York. She flew in from New York, and the husband from Switzerland. So it was very complicated because they couldn't meet each other throughout the whole pandemic. So they had their legal wedding yesterday, and now they're legally and formally married, and so they can travel now again together. And it was a beautiful wedding. It was very intimate, as I said, just the bride and groom and the mother of the bride and the father of the bride, because the others could not travel. But it was a lot of tears and a lot of emotions yesterday for us. And I see that I received throughout the whole time a lot of requests. So I see that weddings is definitely a yes, I do, even through the most terrible times. And I'm very happy about that.
Hello, everybody. My name is Carolina Santillan. I work in Quintana Roo Tourism Board. I'm happy to be here today. I want to share with you that we are open our destination, Mexican Caribbean, which is conformed of 12 destinations. I want to say that Cancun and the Mexican Caribbean is following the recommendations of social organizations such as the Mexican government, the Mexican Health Secretary, the World Health Organization, as well as the WTTC, World Travel and Tourism Council. So we all want to share and give the information to our travelers, to our tourists and visitors, as they feel comfortable and safe during all the visiting. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everyone, for introducing yourselves and giving us a little bit of insight of what you're experiencing. The first question I have is to Eric, and you had mentioned online weddings. Can you please share with us what does that new normal look like in terms of on weddings? Are they Zoom weddings? What are you hearing? What are you seeing? What are couples doing?
Well, Tatiana, it's actually literally online weddings. And it's based on the governor's executive order, which allowed teleconferencing software to be used in order to get married. So instead of going to the local registrar or clerk's office in each municipality, a couple would be able to download the marriage license application. I'm not sure of the logistics, but on another teleconferencing software could be a witness and another witness, because you need two witnesses, and then the officiant, and they could actually perform the marriage ceremony online. The challenge with that is that not every clerk or registrar's office is situated to handle that kind of technology. So they have to implement and train their staff and clerks to do that. So a lot of them, while I've seen some of that in the marketplace, I've also seen more couples either going to the clerk's office if it's open, or requesting the marriage license, and then having an officiant perform the ceremony in their backyard with perhaps family and friends looking on through Zoom technology. etc. So there's different options, but at least it's available for couples to get married.
And also, I know one of our last webinars, one of our panelists discussed live stream for weddings, where they would actually have a photographer with a mask and a videographer, and they would have, you know, 1 or 2 family members, and everybody else would be on, you know, would see the wedding via the live stream. And they would have the officiants, flowers, you know, and also, and in some cases, they would send a favor to all the guests that would be like a slice of the cake, or, you know, a bottle of champagne, or whatever it was that they do. Has anyone else in this group have any experience with Zoom weddings, or can help our couples with some ideas in regards to that, either online weddings or Zoom weddings? Jen, I know you had mentioned some of your clients were doing this.
Yeah, so I actually had a bride that did one this past Saturday in Connecticut, and she actually sent me the link as well to watch the wedding. So yeah, so basically they have a couple of choices. You can either just do the Zoom wedding with just your family watching. You pick a location. I also had a bride that contacted me this week and sent me pictures of her and her husband getting married in Central Park. So she wanted me to see the dress that she had on, but she's still planning. Her mom is in Europe, so her mom had to watch from Europe. So you can still do like the cake, and that is what you do. You actually send out, they actually pick the bakery that actually shipped out like a slice of the cake to all of the attendees. So, and it's working out pretty good. I know it's very different right now, but it's working out pretty good for them. Yeah.
Thank you. So a question just came in, and I'm going to direct that to Eden Rock, and that is, how should, it came from, was it privately? How should our dining table seating work in terms of measurement? How far apart should seating places be to keep social distance in a venue?
That is what we have all implemented in our restaurants as well, because we have opened on July 1st. So we only take dinner reservations, so we know exactly how many people will be in one restaurant, and we have been reducing capacities. You should be as 1 meter, 1.5 meters apart, so 6 feet. From each other. So we respect that we will set up bigger tables and less people on each table.
Thank you. I see another question has come in, and I'm going to address that to Satali. My fiance and I booked our wedding at a venue for November 2020. We are concerned whether our guests will be able to travel at that time. So we're considering postponing until 2021. To make this decision now, the venue is asking us to pay an additional $500 to select a 2021 date. Otherwise, we'd have to wait to choose a date in September to avoid paying the fee. What do you recommend we do in this case?
Well, first of all, just review if it's really necessary to cancel the wedding during that time. I mean, I have my first wedding next August 1st. It's going to be a small wedding, only 15 people. But we have open venues, and they're going to do it in one of our rooftops. So they're going to do it there, and it's just like next week. But if you really don't feel safe, and you don't want to risk your invites, and you don't want to ask them to travel, and you don't want to do it, then considering moving it. But if you want to do it on the desired date, I would recommend, do it. There's a lot of people that started doing it right now. So we also have the option of the virtual weddings. So in case that the couples want to do it, they also have that option. And I would recommend you not to contact the hotel and ask them to waive that fee of the $500, because it's just a pandemic, What we're doing right now is that we are being very flexible with our brides. I have a lot of weddings during March, April, and May that they were moved to November, December, and January next year. And they're having like same considerations when they book their contract. The only thing is that if the rate that we have in the hotel is differently than the one they had, that they will pay like the difference on that. But that's like the only thing.
Thank you so much. This is a question for Jana. Do you have any suggestions on how couples can create a safe and socially distant wedding that's destination and abroad? And do you think that people will still travel? And when do you recommend for them to plan these weddings for, especially if they're scheduled now for the fall?
We think that it's, as long as we are, following social distancing, practicing basic sanitation measures, it's very safe to travel. Destination weddings right now, like Belize, for example, we're not a crowd. We've never been a destination that has overcrowding. So the destination itself, it lends itself to that natural social distancing protocol. Everything, it's just easy to do in Belize. It's a small destination, but it's not overcrowded. So it's definitely safe to come to Belize and do that.
And something that we're seeing a lot of, we had a lot of summer weddings scheduled that have now, there's now a rush to try and get it done in the fall and winter times. And people have significantly cut down on their guest lists. And some are actually choosing just to elope. So it's just the bride and the groom coming. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm going to ask the same question of Carolina. What is your feeling on destination weddings and when should they take place?
Sure. Well, I think it's in Quintana Roo, I can say it's very safe because, as I was saying, we are following the whole recommendations, and we have experts, the wedding planners, all the wedding vendors. They are professionals and experts for organize it and prepare all your wedding as you feel safe. All the venues that we have, they are following to make the most effective and sanitary measures. I mean, the venues that we have here, they are very open and there are endless options. So you can feel safe because it's really big space, as you can have a space in between in the setup, in the dance floor, and all the staff are being very aware of the situation. I mean, and they need to be protective. They're using, let me tell you, sorry. They're using the guard protection, antibacterial gel dispenser. All the employees have the equipment for that. So I really will say that we are prepared for receiving a destination wedding.
Great. And so Florence, you just joined us a little bit. Would you mind introducing yourself to us? And also, I would love to hear your feedback on this question as well.
Good morning, or good afternoon to everyone. I'm on the West Coast here. Very happy to be here with you. Yes, so at Travel Store, we do have a honeymoon team of about 12 travel experts. And so what we do is we assist our clients from the time they leave their house to the time they return to their house. So we will be the one advising on how to go, what to do, why, and just have a great experience. So obviously, due to the pandemic, our job got a new specialty involved, which is sanitization and safety. But we are able to direct and advise the clients correctly, properly on how to accomplish their travel. It is possible to travel. There are some great destinations that are open or going to open. I'm happy to see our Belize friends here, for instance, and Mexico. It's just have to be a little bit different than it was before. but it may be for the best. And that's where a travel advisor really comes into play to really make sure that this experience, this unique experience, is done right.
So you had mentioned honeymoons. What are the top 3 places where couples are choosing to go right now for their honeymoons that you feel comfortable sending them?
Sure. So we are the honeymoon team, but I should say honeymoon and destination wedding. We also do a lot of destination weddings. It's about taking care of the bride and groom first, but it's then assisting each and every one of their guests directly, individually. The one destination right now that we're very happy about is Tahiti, French Polynesia, open as of July 15. But we've got so many great destinations also opening next month or already open. Some states in Mexico, Belize, the Maldives, and then a few Caribbean islands as well.
I think Tatiana is.
I think we lost Tatiana, yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, it looks like Tatiana's having some technical issues, but I can ask another question. So another question that was asked was from Grace, and she said, I made a contract to have minimum guarantee of 150 guests in the beginning of this year. Now I don't feel safe even inviting 100 guests. I want to lower the guarantee guest, and would venues allow such a change, and how can I address that? And she's asking for our recommendations. So Mareki, I'm gonna have you take this one.
I'm happy to answer that question. Honestly, if this would be a case on our property, we would be more than happy to adjust it as to the numbers as they request. Even if a previous contract would have stated a minimum number higher than the one that she's asking for now, we would definitely update it to the new guest list she feels comfortable with. And we'll update it still throughout the dates, because if the wedding is still to go and happen in like 6 months' time, and we don't know what will happen within these 6 months, we keep on being very flexible with the number of participants. Because a wedding is very emotional, and you do not need any more stress than you already have to organize those. So we as a property, as a hotel that loves organizing weddings, want you to be the most safe with us, and you need to feel peace of mind when you organize your wedding, because you have a lot to think about. So the most flexible we can be, we will.
Thank you. The next quick question is to Jen. With all the postponements of the weddings, how has that affected the fittings, and how can a bride do a fitting other than you going to her home? Is this something that is going to create delays, or have you been experiencing delays for brides getting their dresses because of what's happening internationally?
Yeah, so as far as the fittings, if it's brides who have already purchased their dresses because they had weddings scheduled like during the summer, I don't think it's a big issue with them, because they can just go to, now that stuff is open, they can just go to a local tailor, or like I said, I started doing appointments where I would actually go out to a bride and do her fitting, and I bring it home, because I'm working from home right now and I have the machines and all at home. So I've been bringing it home and altering it, and then scheduling an appointment just to take it back to her. But for brides who had dresses, I would say in progress, because their wedding was like at the end of the year, there is an issue with them because the factories aren't open. So most of the places, the wedding salons they're not designers, they're mostly like fashion houses. So it has to come from somewhere. It has to be made. So they are having delays, and I'm not sure how they are going by the like refunds, but most of the brides are having to push their weddings back to next year. So then it's still working out for them, because they can't have the wedding right now anyway. But like the bride that I had this past weekend in Connecticut, she lives in Brooklyn. So I actually went to her home and I did the alterations for her and her mom's dress. So I don't think the alteration is such a big problem. But even now, if you reschedule your wedding for next year, or you're planning a wedding for next year, it's best to get your orders in now, even though the factories are closed, so that when they're open, your dress will be in first. So because once all this gets better and the wedding industry gets better, the wedding industry is going to be flooded on all levels. Yeah, so yeah, the alterations I don't think is a problem right now. But the ordering right now, if you had your wedding scheduled during the summer months, then it is an issue because there's a hold up. But also, you can't really have a wedding right now. And I think I want to comment on the destination weddings as well. I think it's really not the fact. A lot of the places are safe now, but I think the biggest problem is going to be in the travel. Because I actually had to go to LA, and okay, the airlines are not social distancing. You got 3 seats, you got 3 people sitting right up under each other. So that's the thing that they're going to have to worry about in deciding whether to do a destination wedding right now or not. Because I mean, something could happen on your way to that destination as far as the travel. Yeah.
Well, you had mentioned something which is a topic that everybody is interested, which is, you know, is everyone concerned about the second wave? And, you know, our couples can make all these plans and then they might have to change the plans again. And actually a question just came in about that. And that is my daughter, and this will be for Sitali. My daughter's getting married May 22, 2021, and she's getting ready to send out save the dates. Do you suggest mailing to the full guest list, knowing that there is a chance we may have to cut some from the list if the venue can't accommodate the original 150? What is your feeling on that?
Well, I think the best, first of all, is ask the venue how many people they will allow to have in the location that they're going to do the wedding, because some governments are doing like small reduction on the venues. Like we have a venue that accommodates 250 people, but right now we can only accommodate 100 because of the capacity and for like the location itself. So first, that will be first to do at the venue, and then once you are ready to send the invite, just make sure that if they will make it, just let the venue knows within time.
Thank you. This is a question for Eric. Do you think it's possible to postpone the wedding planning until a month before the wedding, just in case it gets worse between now and January?
That's a good question, and it's hard to answer. But I've read enough from the couples that are planning their weddings and what they're doing here in New Jersey and the tri-state area. Some of their venues contracts say that they will be able to judge what they're doing basically within 45 days of their wedding. So there has to be some leeway. And hopefully that they can, I think the idea of what we're talking about is accommodating or accommodations of the couples, accommodations of the wedding venues also, because they're under a lot of stress in terms of how they want to be able to help their clients. And working with each other as best as possible, because as you just said, if there's another health concern, another public crisis of cases, things are going to shut down again. And another panelist had said that weddings or marriages are very emotional times. So it's true, there's a lot of emotion in what's going on. It's just about working together, understanding that there are accommodations that have to be made, and being flexible enough to postpone if necessary.
And if I could chime in on that as well, and as a wedding planner, first and foremost, my recommendation would definitely be to get aligned with all of your vendors and specifically the venue, so that you have a plan B already in place, that you're not scrambling a month before to create the plan B, that your plan B is already created. Every single vendor that you've contracted is on board and on the same page, and you have a backup date ready to press play, you know. And then as far as the, needing to make those decisions last minute, you absolutely have the right to, and you should be prepared to. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that as well. And as far as those of our couples that have printed invitations, you know, it's okay to do a digital invite as a follow-up. You don't need to reprint. You should just focus on making sure that the communication is open and clear. And if you have a website, you can post details on your website and send an email. But there, I think, you know, traditional etiquette, while is beautiful to exercise for your wedding, it is definitely okay to go with the flow and make the changes that you need to make to be responsible. And most importantly, you have to think about the safety of your guests. So when it comes to destination weddings, and someone had just mentioned now that, you know, people might be afraid to get on a plane because they're, you know, all seats are filled. That's a concern for people that are older, that are traveling, that, you know, and also some people just may not want to get on a plane if you're doing a destination wedding. But even if you're doing a local wedding, you still have some people coming out of town or driving in. And with the second phase of reopening might lead to closures. And if that's the case, then how's quarantine going to work? If they come and then they get stuck and they can't leave. So there's all these just different factors that need to be considered. Now, the next question we have is to Dr. Janet, and that is, what protocols are you implementing to help patients feel safe? And what are your recommendations for at-home care?
So we have taken every precaution in the office, such as completely changing our schedule so that we have very few patients in the office at the same time. Actually, we have only, the way our office is situated, we can have one person in our reception area, one person being treated in one of the treatment areas, and another person being treated in our back treatment area. And they never pass by each other because it's circular, so one patient can go in one way and the other through the back way. So we never have them pass by one another. We also have, you know, we have these air purifiers that recirculate the air within 3 minutes, and it's 99% clean. And so, you know, this is something that we never had before. I have it in every room in the office now. Also, when patients come in, they must be wearing a mask, of course. We give them gloves. As soon as they come back into the treatment area, we have them wash their hands for at least 20 seconds before they sit down. One of the things that so in the office, we're taking every precaution possible. We have all of the screens, we have shields, we have the gowns that we wear so that there's really no contamination. Some of the things that we've been able to do, and my practice is largely an Invisalign based practice, about 95%. And we've been sending aligners to patients in the mail so that they don't have to come in. We're doing a lot of virtual appointments where I speak to patients just like this in a Zoom meeting. And, you know, I can see if their aligners are fitting properly and if we need to make any changes or recommendations to them. So we've, you know, if there's a silver lining, we've seen certain things that are really positive with being able to connect like this and, you know, keep patients on track. So and the great thing about using Invisalign is that patients, you know, they come in to get to be scanned for the aligners, but then we can send them away with, you know, many, many aligners, and they don't need to come back for months, literally. So, you know, I like to see them more frequently, of course, because I like to be on top of it and make sure things are running really smoothly. But now that I'm doing some virtual care appointments on Zoom, that's been working out really well too. So I think, you know, I think we've taken all precautions we possibly can. And it so far has been working out really beautifully. And all of my patients feel super safe. We've gotten really, really great feedback from our patients.
Thank you. And the next question is for Marike. And many brides are concerned about refunds and non-refundable deposits. How are you approaching refunds, and what advice do you have for brides dealing with non-refundable deposits?
Saying that all our regular contracts had a 10% non-refundable deposit as per contractual terms throughout the years. This had happened now with contracts I had signed for this year as well. And we actually did reconsider the 10% non-refundable and refunded to those who really did not feel at all about deciding now when the future date would be, and they felt not safe enough to postpone the date right now. I said, okay, you take your 10% back without any problems. Whenever you feel safe enough to book again, you will. There were other cases that I had when they said they would be feeling comfortable with staying with the deposit. So we keep it for them, and I'm desperately waiting for how the situation goes and that I can plan their weddings or their family events soon for next year. So I had a lot of cases like that. But contracts are something that had been written before the pandemic was there. With the pandemic, the contracts had changed. I mean, we did not stick to the contractual terms as they were before, and they will never be as they were before, because we are getting a lot more flexible with everything we do.
Thank you. Jen, a question just came in for you. Any suggestions for brides on how to safely shop for dresses now?
I think the biggest thing right now I'm seeing is brides looking more online for wedding dresses instead of going in a traditional wedding store. So basically, my thing is through my website, I can actually do Zoom with you to actually get your measurements, walk you through measuring yourself without somebody else having to do it. Also going over the details of whatever it is that you want. Whether it's a dress from the website or it's a custom gown, you actually have that choice. So I want to explain the process of a custom gown, because a lot of people just assume that when you say custom, it's a lot of money. Whereas when you're buying from a regular bridal salon, you're buying off the rack, meaning you get that size. Usually they're going to measure your bust, waist, and hips. That dress is going to come back to the size that fit the biggest part of your body. So with the custom gown, you have that option. My size chart might be a size 12, and it fits on your hips, but it's too big at the bust. Well, I'm still going to get all of your measurements. Even though you're in a size 12, I'm going to get all of your measurements, and those measurements are adjusted in the factory on the table in the making of that gown, which gives you a better fit and less alterations. So just say, for instance, you go into a store and you spend $2,000 on a wedding gown. Well, when that wedding gown come back, because it's a fashion house, it comes off the rack, they can't make those adjustments for you. But a custom gown, the adjustments can be made in the making of that dress, which is not going to cost you any more. But when you order that gown from the store and it's $2,000, you risk spending $600-700 on alterations, because you have to adjust this, and it's according to the beading, the type of fabric it is that makes it the price of the alteration even higher. So a lot of people think that custom gowns means a lot of money, whereas you're really just paying the same thing, but you're getting a better fit. So the process, if you're ordering online, just make sure that it's a legit company. So I wouldn't say from different places. So yeah, just make sure that when you're ordering offline, that it's a legitimate company. It's maybe somebody you have heard of before from friends or family members or something. But I think brides are pushing more to ordering online than actually having to risk going into the store. And even with the custom gowns, if you see a gown on my website and your budget for your dress is $2,000, well, my dress on my website might be $3,000. You can still get that gown, same gown. Only thing, I might have made that gown in a more expensive fabric for my showpiece. So you can still get that same gown. Only thing, I would change the fabric for you to a cheaper fabric. And that gives you, that gives you room to still get the same dress, same style, same look. It's just I pick a cheaper fabric for you. So that's the difference in the custom. You get a whole lot of options of finding that perfect gown that you really want by doing a custom gown.
Thank you. Florence, question for you. So a lot of our couples are planning honeymoons, but are rightfully so very nervous, especially if they're non-local destinations. How are you handling, or are your vendors that you're booking the brides into handling refunds, cancellations? What can couples expect when booking a honeymoon now?
Sure. Great question. Well, one of the most important services travel expert will bring with them is peace of mind. And with peace of mind comes the best flexibility ever available to the brides and the grooms. We develop preferred relationships with vendors. Most of the hotels that are here, I'm happy to say, we work with you guys all the time. And we know how to design a honeymoon or destination wedding in the best way possible, so that if something wrong should happen, we can efficiently assist our clients. I am proud to say that after 4 months of being in this pandemic, the honeymoon team hasn't lost one penny in terms of travel investment for our clients. We've been able to refund non-refundable items. We've been able to postpone and obtain credits, sometimes 125% credit, even better than what they originally spent. And it's valid for maybe a year, often 2 years. We do not want our clients to worry. They are planning a happy event, and it should remain as such. And to follow up a little bit on what Jen was saying about her beautiful custom-made dresses, this is what a honeymoon and a destination is too. It is custom-made. I do not create a honeymoon or destination wedding that will be the same and identical for someone else. They're all very unique because each individual is unique.
Thank you. This is a question for Eric. Many couples have already postponed their wedding to the end of this year. However, with the new spike in many states, couples are wondering when they should postpone, and any suggestions that you have seen.
Tatiana, that's a great question, and it's hard to empathize because you don't want to put yourself in that situation where you have to postpone. But we're not public health experts. Unfortunately, we have to kind of go with what is going on at the time. A lot of couples I've seen, and I've seen hundreds of couples that are reporting that they still have their wedding planned for August, September, October, through the fall and into the early winter. And they may either through their contract with the venue be kind of tied in with that and are kind of seeing what happens, or they're seeing what is the situation at the time. If they have to postpone, they will. And then they're in a situation where, as all the venue managers know, you have to fit in dates that are available for next year. So it's a toss-up between postponing and solidifying a date next year that meets your needs, having an opportunity to get married now in the summer and the fall, and have a micro wedding and elopement, whatever you prefer, and then get postponed to a better time. But even with the numbers, if you can't have a wedding that for 300, for a while, you have to have that possibility that you may have to postpone. So while it's, while I want to have the best advice possible, it's, listening to the experts that are out there. In each state, we have a public health expert, the Department of Public Health, find out what they're recommending, what the governor is ordering. And it's all about the safety of people that are around. And as you said before, those that are traveling. In New Jersey right now, we have 22 states on a list where people that are coming from those states have to quarantine for 2 weeks. Now, obviously that's a health concern first, but that's a terrible thing to have to tell your family members from other states they have to come into your wedding. So in that sense, it makes it easier to postpone a little bit and say, you know what, when it's better, when it's safer, we'll celebrate. But there are options now.
Speaking to that point, and this is a question for Jana and Carolina, starting with Jana, is if somebody comes into your country and then so for some reason, well, not for some reason, you decide to close it, and what happens to all the guests that are there for a destination wedding, and what protocols are you putting into place for them to feel like they're not going to get trapped?
Well, for us, when a decision is made to close off any of the borders, you're given sufficient notice. So it's really up to the guests to make their arrangements so that they're able to get out by that very last day that you have to make your bookings.
Thank you. And Carolina?
Okay, for us, there are multiple hotels where, I mean, they are gonna be asked first the guests, the travelers, and if they accept, they can be isolated in another certain hotels that are just for people that has symptoms or have COVID situations.
Thank you so much. And so someone just asked, what is a micro wedding, Eric?
It's a term that's come around that's been made popular especially with the pandemic, but it's simply a smaller wedding for, in this case, outdoors. It depends on the capacities or the requirements of each state. But if a state says that you're allowed 100 people outdoors, that's fine. In the past, it was 25, then 50, then it just became 100 in New Jersey recently. And it has to be, fulfilled within the requirements and the guidelines of social distancing, wearing masks. Our governor just made it mandatory to wear masks outside and indoors. And there may be two types of components. Obviously, in our area, indoor dining is not allowed. So it's really kind of up to the event host to know those requirements and guidelines and allow what you can do. Just like what we talked about before, a lot of couples are having their wedding in their backyard or a park where they can control the situation and have, 10 to 25 guests, including close family and friends. That's traditionally a micro wedding where they can celebrate and then maybe have others come in through Zoom or another technology to celebrate. And then one more point about that, Tatiana. I've known you for a long time, and one thing I know, and I've seen at the wedding salon shows in person, is that we're a very creative industry. And so people can now use their talents in so many ways. I've seen and been involved with Zoom calls where there's a comedian, where there's musicians, and they're entertaining the guests. So there's really a lot of things that you can come up with for a fun, memorable wedding, even though it's not the traditional ones that we know.
Thank you. And last and final question, we've had a bunch of people ask, and this is to you, Marika, is for this wedding that you did just yesterday, what were the social distancing measures that they employed in regards to the dance floor, in regards to the food and buffets? And if you could just walk us through that wedding.
Yes, definitely. So it was outdoor wedding because at Eden Rock we have a lot of outdoor spaces. So they had a ceremony outside on our garden with the sea as a beautiful backdrop. We did set up seats in 1.5 meters distance, one from each other. We did have the photographer, the videographer, the violinist on site, all wearing masks. We are all wearing masks as staff. The family did not wear masks. And that's what a question I saw came up as well for the social distancing when they are seated. When they're close families traveling together, they will be able to sit together. Everyone gets temperature tested before the event. Every employee that works with us, yes, we do wear masks, but we are all COVID-free because we have all done COVID tests and are constantly tested. That's very important. And we are all living on property, on staff accommodation. So we have like turnovers of 15 days, people working 15 days, being on site, and then switching to another shift of 15 days. So we are very safe in these regards. It's very important to us to guarantee this. I had been asked yesterday by the bride if I could lift the mask because she wanted me to appear in the wedding pictures, and she found it weird to have her family and close family without the mask. But she felt very comfortable with me. And because when you organize a wedding, you're a real partner. So I was able to lift the mask and do pictures with them as well together. And it was very, as I said, very emotional. You just said buffet
Yes.
style for us at the moment is not at all something that we will do, has not been allowed from the hygiene for the moment to be proposed from us as a vendor. So we are only proposing seated and served lunch and dinners for the moment. So no buffets.
And that's actually what we've been seeing as well. Most venues have all but cut out buffets and everything is plated and or served in individual portions. So that's been a big trend that we're seeing. Well, I want to thank everybody for joining us today. It's been really wonderful to hear from all of you as far as, how each of you are handling COVID and the pandemic. And it's wonderful to note that our industry is still active and excited and, ready. And, there's nothing wrong with postponing, and there's nothing wrong with being afraid of a second wave because it might come. And in some cases it has come in most states. And so just have an open line of communication and be prepared. And we want to thank you all very much for joining us today, and hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.